Everyone, we're now delighted to welcome Senator Pauline Hanson to join us this morning. We really greatly appreciate her time in addressing us. Thank you so much, Senator Hanson, for your time. And I'll give you the lectern to say a few words. Thank you. Can we welcome Senator Hanson?
Good morning, welcome, hello everyone. Well, I'm not 100%, but anyway, I'm here. It's good to be here. Look, I've had a working relationship with the Master Builders for quite some, especially after the 2016 election when Malcolm and I got elected to Parliament with our other two senators. And at the time it was the ABCC bill, and for months we worked, not only with the Master Builders but also with the unions. We put our energies into understanding the bill. Quite interesting, it was with our vote, that's why it got passed with the Liberal Party, only with One Nation's vote. We actually then changed a lot of the, not a lot, but we advised the government on our findings, which they improved the bill, and that's what they said, it's improved their bill. I'm telling you this because it's quite interesting. Jackie Lambie voted against that, the ABCC, and there was a case in point too over the Christmas period of time. They were going to actually, it was Nick Xenophon, that was actually going to pull out of supporting the bill, so therefore it may not have got up again after the Christmas break. Anyway, Michaelia Cash came to me, she said, Pauline, she said, it looks like Nick Xenophon, we're going to lose his vote on it and we may lose the bill. And she said, can you talk to him? And I said, no problems, I'll go and talk to Nick. Anyway, Nick said, he said the unions were up and down the hallways, knocking on our doors. He said, they're putting up signs about me. And he said, and having a go at me. I said, for Christ's sake, Nick, grow a set of balls, will you please? And I said, if you allow them to do it to you this time, they'll do it to you any other time. So anyway, Nick held his ground, and it actually stayed as was. Excuse my language, but anyway, I am an Aussie, true blue, through and through, and I'll say what I think. Quite interesting, though, this Parliament, I sat beside Jackie Lambie one day, and she said, they can't change that ABCC bill. She said, it was wrong. She said, I got it wrong. She said, you got it right. She said, we can't change it. And this is what it is. With a lot of the senators and a lot of the members here is they don't put the work and effort into it. They're too busy listening to the advisors, and this goes for the ministers as well. They don't do the research that they need to understand legislation and the impact it's going to have on the Australian people, the public, businesses and the future generations. They're lazy. And what I also find about it is they follow party policy. They follow their leaders right to the death. And I'll tell you another point that after The Voice, I was the one that came out against The Voice in the first place. I stood my ground. And then it was the National Party, which I hear David Littleproud basically was supporting The Voice, but he couldn't allow One Nation to actually get the jump on them and not support not supporting The Voice. Then finally Dutton came out. And I like Dutton, have no doubt about it. I like Dutton. I like to see him as Prime Minister rather than the idiot that we have here now. But anyway, so Dutton is, he took his time coming out and saying it. But it's, I noticed that, and I think Jacinta Price did a fantastic job, and so did Warren Mundine. But on the statistics, I was the one who spoke about The Voice more than anyone else in Parliament, even more than Albanese. So it was high on my priority because I knew the impact that would have on our country. And this weak bastard's in there. A lot of the legislation they're pushing through now has got parts of The Voice connected in it. They haven't forgotten about it. They haven't walked away. They're still putting parts of it to control to the Aboriginal people. Do I have time for them? No, I don't. Do I have time for the coalition? A lot of time, no, I don't. Either. They have both to blame for the situation our country is in now. I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm upset. But I'm also very upset with the general public. I went to a protest meeting on the lawns yesterday from the farmers and those people that are now protesting over the fact of the wind turbines and the solar panels and this climate change BS that's going on, the scam that it is. We have the changes in legislation, and the general public over the years that I've seen is, oh well, she'll be right, mate. No, don't worry about it, anything about it. You have the protest rallies. I see the flags now, the Palestinian flags being flown out there. And here we have the protests on the rallies in the street, and what's happening against the Jews is disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful. Shouldn't be happening here. But most Australians, unless you're on the lefty, that actually put the time and effort in to get out there and protest, they're the ones that are doing the most of the protesting, and the rest of us cower in the background and don't say or do anything until it's the last bloody minute. Case in point, COVID. What happened with COVID? Everyone went along with it. Everyone had their jabs. Very few didn't. I told them, you're not putting that shit into my body. And the whole fact is, what happened was, now the truth's come out, the impact it's had on people's health. The way they controlled the people, the way that they controlled those nurses and doctors, paramedics, those ones that we desperately need, the teachers, those people that have lost their jobs, their livelihoods, where are they? People still sit back and say nothing. My message to you is, and you're here because you're worried about the IR bills that are going through. I'm worried about it too, because the impact it's going to have on businesses, workers, employees, people in this country. I've been a businesswoman. You might not think, oh, only from a fish and chip shop. Hey, look, it was a little bit more than that, because I did employ people for 10 years. And I actually ran a plumbing business with my husband for another 9 years. I've been in the farming sector. I've had cattle. Most of my life, I've employed people. I've been, employed people. And I can say that more so than most of those people on the floor of Parliament who's never held a job other than going to university or working in some political office or being a union rep or a union member. So a lot of these people have no idea what it is about small business. And if we keep driving small business into the ground, we are going to destroy this country. Because small business employs most of the people in this country. All this government is interested in is socialism. And it's class warfare that's going on in our nation. And that's how I see it. And unless we as individuals start standing up, and people have to take a stance and stop saying to you, oh, well, it's either one or the other. It's either Liberal or Labor. That's the attitude of the public. I spoke to a quite intelligent. She knew what she was talking about in the job. She said, oh, but we have to vote one or the other. I said, no, you don't. Most people I talk to don't even know the difference between the House of Reps, the Senate, or the state government, or local government. And she knew, but she said, oh, you've got to vote one or the other. I said, no, you don't. And until you stop taking one nation as a joke and that we are no one, we're not going to go anywhere, this country's going nowhere. I can guarantee you that my colleague Malcolm Roberts is the most straightforward, honest person that I have the privilege to work for. He can out-talk anyone on that floor of Parliament about a lot of issues. About the banking sector, about climate change. They won't debate him because they don't even know what the hell they're talking about. And until we get more people elected throughout this country, whether it's state or federal parliaments, that have the same principles and backbone, dedication and caring about the people in this nation like we have in One Nation, we are going to keep fighting this time and time again. It's a revolving door. You put one lot in, they change it, and the next lot comes in and changes it again. And that's why it's important to have One Nation there on the floor of Parliament. I don't look at who I'm going to support, whether it's this side or that side. I look at what you're offering me. What are you offering the people of this nation? Is it good for the people? Is it good for the country? My decisions are based on that. That's why I oppose the corporate tax cuts. Oh, they were furious with me. Matisse Cormann offered me everything to get that corporate tax cuts through. I agreed to support it from $2 million to $10 million. They wanted it from $2 to $10 million. And I said to him when he came to ask for my support, I said, why are you just stopping at $10 million? Put it to $50 million. He said, would you support 50 million? I said, of course you would. I said, why would you change from 2 to 10 million? I said, 10 million's nothing in a turnover of business. I said, put it to 50 million. Once he knew he had my vote, he got the rest of them and they got it through. Then they came to me and he wanted to make it, no limit. I said, no way in the bloody wide world. I said, you're not having it. And I said, you ever change government, we get Labor in here, I said, they're not good economic managers. And I said, not only that, I said, we have a disaster in this nation. I said, we won't be able to afford it. And on top of that, I didn't know, but we got COVID. And not only that, if you got 65 billion to actually lose out of the government coffers, put it into infrastructure, something that's going to benefit the nation. And I tell you another reason also, that I went over to Ireland and our delegation, and I spoke to the Irish Parliament there, the Speaker of the House, and I said, you've got corporate tax cuts. And I said, how are they working for you? And I said, what are they at? He said, 12.5%. He said, they're working? He said, nope. So it's not about that. It's about managing the economy and making, you can do it in other ways. And I didn't think it was a good idea. And at the end of the day, I'm going to say, I believe I was right. But our whole taxation needs a complete overhaul. So whether we look at a flat tax, 25% right across the board, we've got to incentivise people to get to work. You were stopping people from doing overtime. We're just suppressing people, businesses in this country constantly all the time. And until we actually come up with a decent tax pack, and I will oppose any increase to the GST because I am not going to support any increase in GST because I know that where this is going, and that's what they will be proposing. And another thing is that the personal tax cuts at the moment, I will be supporting what the Labor Party puts up. I supported those to get them across the line, and those Australians that are going to get the tax cuts, I'd promised them in the legislation they got my vote. The other half, or the other million people who are not getting these tax cuts, if I get the balance of power in the Senate the next time around, I will work to get those tax cuts for the other Australians who were promised those tax cuts, but are not getting them this time around. So you've got to work with what you've got. And at the moment, I cannot deny those hard, struggling Australians the right to a tax cut. Just because Albanese has changed his mind. And not only that, I've told and said, if you do any different, and I'll warn the coalition, if you do any different to agreeing with the tax cuts, you'll be actually committing political suicide because the public will not forgive them for it. I did bring a speech, but anyway, it didn't happen, did it? Sorry, Richard, we go through this, but this is not unusual for me. But sometimes I just feel that I have to say what I feel. Am I happy with this parliament? No way in the wide world. It's the worst government I've worked under, and my first one was 1996. And it's a real shame. I feel that, this is supposed to be the heart of our democracy, a place to be proud of, to work in. One Nation's totally disregarded. They don't need our vote. We've got Doormat Dave in there. He just walks, they walk over the top of him. Half the time he doesn't even know what the hell he's doing, especially in the first couple of months. And I asked him one time, I said, please don't allow them to guillotine on the climate change. And he said, no. Anyway, Matt Canavan gets up to speak. It was supposed to finish at 1:30. Matt Canavan gets up to speak about 1:20. And Dave gets up and said, but Matt, you can have your say later. I finished that. And he said, he didn't know. He agreed to have it guillotined in a matter of 10 minutes' time. He had no idea. Then another time, they were guillotining family law. I'm very passionate about family law and trying to sort out the problems that's happening in our law cases with people. And anyway, they were going to guillotine that, and I rang his office and I said, can I talk to Senator Pocock, please? And they said, yeah, hang on a minute. So he comes through and he said, hi Pauline, it's Doormat Dave here. I said, good Doormat Dave, So please don't guillotine. So he gave me another hour to actually debate it on the floor of Parliament. But Jackie Lambie, she disappoints me greatly. In the way they vote half the time. important issues, gender dysphoria. I tried to get a hearing into that for gender dysphoria, which they blocked. And I've got to say that's a coalition as well. The coalition have their moderates there. And that's going to be Dutton's worst nightmare, is trying to pull it into line to get the moderates across the line. They should be on the other side, not with the moderates. But it's a parliament that I'm in fear of. I will tell you now, I've always been, optimistic in the future of this nation, but I do feel that if Labor gets another term in this parliament with control of the Greens, I fear for the future nation. I don't believe that we're going to be able to unwind it and make the changes that we need to for the future generations. And would I go back into small business again? No way in the wide world. I think you've got a tough gig out there. I think what they're doing with, especially what's happened with the wharfies, the unions are taking over, they're controlling it. Just look at who's on the front benches with the Labor Party, who's in the cabinet. They're all these union bosses, former union bosses. I think the control is unbelievable. I don't trust Albanese. I don't believe he's a man of his word, and he's proven that. I don't feel there's any real substance with them. They're stumbling through the whole lot. The legislation they're putting up, there's no depth to it, there's no nothing. They're pushing through what they can get done and to do the damage that they can. But will the coalition have the willpower and the guts to turn it around? That concerns me because of the moderates within the party, of the Liberal Party. And that's why I'm telling you now how important it is that One Nation be there, because I know I will stand my ground and pull them back and ensure that they get back to the conservative values for this nation. And that's why I keep saying to you, and it's so important. We'll see what happens in Queensland this year. I hope we're in a position to oust that stupid giggling Stephen Miles and he doesn't become Premier for the next 4 years. But it's very important that we do win more seats in Parliament, because I don't believe that Christopher Foley has got the real determination to make a difference in Queensland. Remember, he was quite happy to sign the treaty with the Labor Party for the Aboriginals, and that's going to be another big issue with us. So the big issues is the high immigration we've got coming into the country. Huge numbers, which I've warned everyone about years ago. We've now got the taxation does need to be addressed. The Aboriginal issue, that's not dead and buried. They're sliding that into legislation. We've got a division in it which is happening in our nation. Businesses now, I'm hearing, constantly are going overseas. They're employing people overseas, and businesses to take up the slack that they can't get employees here. This whole thing about, you've got to employ people, I'm sure a lot of you are going overseas to get your employers, to get employees working for you. It's disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful. When you've got 900,000 people who are unemployed, sitting on the dole in this country, who are unemployed or unemployable and feel it's their way of life, until we start tackling that, because it's costing our economy $250 billion plus a year for our welfare bill in Australia, and that's why our taxes are going up all the time. So I'm quite happy to take any questions from you. So, my pleasure. Thank you.